Hello and welcome to The Rookie Hunter. This is episode 6, and today we'll be discussing the BC Interior Sportsman Show, making venison sausage for the first time, and we'll also take a brief look at fish farming. If you're new to the show, we hope you enjoy it and encourage you to listen to previous episodes. If you're returning to the show, thank you very much for the support. You can connect with us on Twitter and Instagram, or you can send an email to therookieHunterPodcast@gmail.com. Sit back, relax, crack a cold beer, and enjoy this episode of The Rookie Hunter. We never actually followed up on cleaning up all that shit either.
I went back up there and people had drugged the jukeboxes or the jukeboxes. The boom boxes and the TV back out, and they started shooting them again.
Oh, really? Fucking Christ.
2 more guys showed up when I was up there, and they were just young, like 25-year-olds with a shotgun. They're like, hey, we're going to be shooting over here.
Fuck.
Yeah. Bree was like, I don't like it up here.
Yeah. That's too bad.
Yeah. So I don't think, the more I go up there, the more I realize it's not hunters necessarily that are doing that shit. It's just people with guns.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I guess, the thing is that
Shotguns in particular.
guys with guns might be hunters as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get roped into that equation no matter what happens.
Yeah.
We're recording, so we might as well introduce ourselves right now. I'm Mike Peterson.
Kelly Muller.
Yeah. So what we're just talking about here, in the last episode, we mentioned that we were going to go up and clean up this area that we had gone to sight in our rifles. So good news is Kelly's rifle is back in action. It's working.
Yeah, I guess they just had to open the bolt up and they cleaned it out. Something might have got stuck in there. Some gunk.
Right.
He said it could have been from like oiling the bolt or cleaning it somehow.
Right.
But I don't know. I've never put heavy oil on it before. But yeah, it seems to be working good. I went up there again last weekend, so
it was making both of us nervous because we're planning for a bear hunt, and we sort of need to rely on each other and each other's equipment in case things go sideways. Yeah. The rifles both need to be in working condition, so that's good.
Yeah, we should take both rifles, my compound bow and your crossbow, just in case. Strap it to Oscar or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so we said that we were going to go back and clean up the area, and we did that. So we ended up with 6 garbage bags full of, you name it, really.
Yeah.
The most entertaining thing we found up there was, I don't know if you saw it, but a wedding dress that had been lit on fire and shot repeatedly with a shotgun. So there was just pieces of it everywhere, and obviously shotgun shells and pickled jars that have been blasted to pieces, and just shit everywhere. So I don't know how long we were at it for, hour and a half, 2 hours, and we eventually ran out of daylight, but we pretty much got all that we could. So we started something on the forums and on Instagram and Twitter that got a little bit of traction. Actually, it got a lot of attention in the hunting forums, and we came up with a thing that was show us your junk. Mm-hmm. And I think guys were initially a little bit weirded out by the headline, but people were very appreciative of the effort, and I think it probably inspired a few people to go out and do the same. And we did have other people posting photos of their previous cleanup efforts and all kinds of interesting stuff like that. So it's good just to put it out there. But if anybody would like to show us their junk, they're more than welcome to. We're Rookie Hunter on Instagram and Twitter. Just search us, you can find us and show us your junk there. But yeah, anyways, we weren't looking for a pat on the back or anything, but just felt like it was something that was necessary to do because, it could just be gun enthusiasts, or it could be hunters, or it could be a combination of both. But I think it's good to do your part in the community and clean up after others. It's unfortunate that that's something that has to be done, but it is what it is. So, and don't be afraid to report people if you see them doing that shit. So, it is what it is. Anything
Indeed.
you'd like to add to that, Mr. Molnar?
No, I mean, I went back up to shoot a couple shots again, and it seemed like there's some more stuff kind of thrown about up there, so it's a little frustrating.
Yeah, we knew
I don't
that.
know if it's really, I don't know. I don't know who it is, and I don't know if it's hunters necessarily. Like you said, It could just be people bringing their guns up and wanting to shoot shit. But yeah, I don't know. It's I like going up there just because it's close to the house. It's good. It's easy to get some practice as opposed to going to the range. I am a member out there, but it's just quite a drive to get out there, and I definitely go there for more serious like shooting and stuff. But
it would be fun to go up there before we do the bear hunt, just once more.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I brought my wife up. She shot the 30-06.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so she just took one shot. She grew up in a hunting family, so she's kind of like, yeah, whatever, I'm just going to take a shot. So I was giving her all the tips, like make sure you pull it close to your shoulder and lean into it a little bit and stay this far away from the scope. And I was pretty impressed. She took about 30 seconds and looked through the scope, pulled the trigger, and she shot 1.5 inch high at 100 yards, dead center line.
Nicely done.
It's actually better than any of the shots that I took. So I said, you're not allowed to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So she's been bugging me for pretty much all weekend saying that she's a better shot. So
that's hilarious. Nice.
Yeah.
So she took one shot and she was satisfied. She's a sniper.
Yeah, I said, well, do you want to shoot anymore? And she kind of said, no, I'm good. Don't want to waste all your ammo. But I was going to let her take a couple dry fires.
Oh, yeah.
Just like so she knew where the trigger broke.
Right.
But then I thought, oh, maybe I won't do that. And she'll have no idea where it breaks. And then she'll probably be dead on.
Right.
Right. It's not until you know what to expect that you start doing all this weird flinchy stuff. So it worked. She just nailed it, I think.
Nice.
So I don't know if she's going to start hunting. I doubt it. But
cool. That's fun. She went out there anyways.
For sure.
Well, we had a pretty fun weekend. It was one of the best weekends I've had in a while. Not that I've had bad weekends, but this one, we just did lots of cool shit, and there was a lot of firsts for me as far as different activities and stuff like that. So Kelly and I are born 3 days apart. We both just turned 31, and every year we kind of have some sort of shindig of some sort. And this year we... You're right over there.
Yeah, it's like
the Hefeweizen.
The Hefeweizen.
Well, we might as well use that as a cue to mention our beer. So this one is from Driftwood Brewery, and it's called Entangled. It's Hefeweizen. It's a fruity one. The weather here is pretty nice right now, so I thought, it sounds like a springy beer. It's got a nice fruity citrus taste to it. So if you're looking for something tasty for a hot day, I recommend it. Where the hell is this from? I
think it's from the island.
Man,
every beer we buy is from the island.
It seems that way, eh?
Yeah, Vancouver Island.
Must be, yeah. I can't find it on here. Anyways, I'm not going to waste any time looking for it, but it's good. Check it out. Oh, Victoria, BC.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. We keep ending up with these. Yeah, so this year, rather than going out somewhere, I don't know if it's part of getting older. We're not old fucking prunes or anything like that, but less and less I am drawn to go out to a pub or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like hanging out at home with people, and I don't know, it's just a different environment. I think it's you go somewhere that's fucking loud, it's hard to have a conversation with everybody, and you're usually just talking to the person that you're sitting next to the whole time, which is all right, I guess. But so this year we bought a whack of live Dungeness crab and cooked those. So I had never done that, and I don't think anybody else there had done it before, except for Jeremy. I think had done it once during a fishing trip. So you know, the thought of throwing a live crab into the boiling hot water at first was kind of, I don't know, I wasn't too sure about it, but it wasn't too bad. And they were on ice, so they were moving pretty slow and stuff like that. So I don't think that's the humane way to cook them, but they seemed to die pretty quickly, and they were delicious.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah. if you haven't done that, I definitely recommend it. It's fun, and I don't know how long we were eating dinner for, but it just slows everybody down and
Mm-hmm.
makes for a pretty long evening, and in a good way, not like holy fuck. Get
It
these
makes
people
for
out of here.
a bit of a cleanup effort too. I think your floor had quite a bit of stuff on it.
It did,
by the
man. There
end,
was
and,
shit everywhere, but
um,
it's all part
a
of it.
couple folks had crab all over their shirts. And,
Yeah. We randomly had a guy from Holland staying with us, and I think he he either really enjoyed it or he was not sure what he got himself into. But I think he had a lot of fun. But he had crab blow up all over his shirt.
I don't think he knew what he was getting into at all when he started staying with you, because he so what did he try? He tried crab.
Yeah.
We invited him up to go shoot the rifle.
And he's pretty excited about that. So he's here for a couple of months. So we're gonna
Yeah.
make sure we do that.
Well, we'll get into this later on, but show up and start making some sausage with our deer.
Yeah.
And then I walk in the door and I offered him some bison pepperoni, and it was just every 5 minutes he was eating something new. And
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was probably pretty cool for them because we're hipsters or anything, but all the wine and like we had gin and all this stuff, everything that we had was made in the Okanagan or came from the coast, obviously with the crab and that. So I think it was probably cool for him to have all this local shit, which might not get that experience everywhere. And it was sort of just a fluke that he happened to be with us while all this was going on, but pretty fun to show somebody a bit of Canadian culture. Sometimes you think that maybe Canada doesn't have that much culture, but we hit all the stereotypes for him.
I think so.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. That was a lot of fun. And there's sort of a theme that runs throughout this weekend. And I did a trip to the coast over spring break, so a couple of weeks back. And just being on the coast, and while I was there, I started looking at fishing lodges and starting to get this idea in my head that I want to go fishing. So having the crab was another push to sort of want to do that. And then on Saturday, we went to the BC Interior Sportsman Show. Went there thinking, more towards the hunting side of things, but there was actually a lot of stuff. There was fish filleting going on. We went and sat in on that, which was kind of cool. Too bad
He made it look pretty easy.
he did. Yeah,
I don't think it's that easy, but he grew up doing that.
yeah. I've grown up the river and catching a lot of rainbow and shit like that. Like it's not completely foreign to me, but yeah, he made it look super easy. And I'm sure there wasn't any bones left in the stuff that he was cutting through. It's too bad. He mentioned that he had hoped to bring in a halibut, but being in the interior, you're sort of just at the mercy of whatever is available to us. So we didn't get to see any of that, but so that was cool. And then we were talking to a few different lodges that had booths set up and entered to hopefully win a fishing trip. That would be pretty awesome. Who knows if that would ever happen, but you never know.
Yeah, I don't think I expected to come out of there wanting to do a fishing trip, like out to the coast. Like, it wasn't really on my radar.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I thought about it like, oh yeah, it'd be awesome to do that. My father-in-law does it every year, and I usually reap the rewards of the fish that he has to give away because he has so much of it, right? But after going to that show and seeing like Rugged Point Lodge and all these places, it's like, wow, I think we really have to do one of those trips.
Yeah, I think, maybe within the next probably 2 years or something like that, we'll start planning it now so that we know that it's coming. And it's funny because I was looking at it and showing my wife, and we were sort of doing the math about how much we pay for fish here and how much it would cost to go to a lodge, and they seal it all up and put it all on ice and stuff for you. But when you do the math, it's a pretty good deal to actually go there, have a guided fishing trip for 3 days or whatever you want to do. Some of them guarantee a certain amount of fish each day. I don't know how they do that, but they do.
Or pounds.
Yeah. One place was a guarantee of like 50 pounds each day, which is crazy. So if you factor that in, it's actually a really cost-effective fish. And apparently if you keep it frozen, it'll stay at its top grade for like 2 years. So as long as it's not being thawed and unthawed and everything, The fish is going to be amazing kept in the freezer, and it never really comes fresh. You know what I mean? It's all flash frozen.
No,
anyways.
exactly. Most
So-
of the stuff we get from my father-in-law it's packed by Albion, I think.
Okay.
They're the big whatever out there. But yeah, you tear open one of those bags and it just smells like from frozen, you unthaw it in the fridge or whatever. Open one of those bags and it just smells like the ocean.
Nice.
It's like totally different than the store for sure.
I had done one fishing trip years ago. This is probably like, oh man, maybe 9 years ago or something like that. And it's kind of a long story, but it was with a friend that I was working with at the time. So I was paid to drive him all the way back to Vancouver Island to drop him off because we had just finished a job. So I ended up hanging out for 3 days and we did some fishing and ended up catching salmon. And in the morning we would throw out crab traps and then come back at the end of the day, pull those up. We had a bunch of crab that we caught. It was Dungeness crab as well. And then we also were jigging for cod, like not too far off the shore. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun because you can catch some big ones like that and those little bastards fight pretty good too. So I was hoping to get halibut, but it was just not the right time for halibut, I guess, and the weather wasn't. Yeah. Anyways, the guy that took me fishing knew what was up and he said we're going to have better luck if we go for salmon, and I ended up catching one, which was pretty cool.
Sweet.
And then the best part of it was by the time the weekend was over, we both got called back in for another job, so my whole trip was covered. All the expenses, all the driving and everything. I basically got a free fishing trip out of the deal, so that was pretty sweet. But there's nothing quite like being out on a boat in the Pacific Ocean fishing, man. It's pretty sweet.
I can imagine.
I really want to see killer whales. It's like the number one thing on my list. And that book that we were looking through, sorry, what was the name of the lodge?
Rugged Point Lodge.
Yeah, they had a really nice photo album put together, and there was a lot of killer whales in the photos. So that, like, you know, just fishing alone would be pretty cool, but the wildlife that you're going to see while you're out there, hopefully, if you get lucky, I guess, would be pretty amazing. So even for me, if we didn't catch any fish and saw killer whales, I'd be pretty stoked anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they're about, what was it, 90 miles north of Tofino or something like that? So they're quite a ways up there.
So I think it's on the bucket list.
Yeah. And
hopefully a short-term bucket list.
Yeah, for sure. But that was kind of the, what I came out of the Sportsman Show thinking was like, fuck, I really want to go fishing. What did you enjoy from the Sportsman Show? We had tweeted that we were going to be there, so we should cover some of the stuff we sort of covered. There was one really good talk on mule deer. Unfortunately, I had to run out and run back, so I only caught the last 15 minutes of it. But
I just think the gathering of all the outdoorsmen, and I think it was the first one in the Okanagan, they said.
Okay.
So, or in Kelowna anyway. So it's nice to hear that. It's nice to hear that, the industry's putting a show like that on. And they had a lot of educational pieces there. They had an expert talking about advanced mule deer strategies, and they had the fish filleting, and they had a cook that was a top 8 contestant on Top Chef Canada or something. She was talking about cooking wild game.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then on top of that, they had a lot of fly fishing associations there. They were doing fly tying courses, and
they even had a dog trainer in the back there. It was kind of cool. She had some labs with her, doing some demos with her dog, and there's lots of stuff going on. I think the only drawback was it was such a nice day. We were kind of antsy to be outside too. But there was a lot of people. What time did it start? Was it 10?
I think it started at 9.
9, and we got
till
there
5.
We got there at 10, I guess it was, right? And it was already super busy, so it's pretty cool to see that, there's that big of a community, and there was all kinds of people there. So it was super interesting. And we obviously got to enter a whole bunch of draws for stuff. So you go into those things hoping maybe you'll come out with something.
Yeah.
Somebody will, so that's exciting. There was lots of cool stuff.
Yeah. The one thing I was, I guess, hoping to see a little more of was gear. Like actual manufacturers of gear coming out and kind of showing off their products and that kind of thing. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe that'll be part of that growing a little bit more, because it seemed like it was more local, which is good. Why wouldn't it be local people? But yeah, it would be neat if, I don't know, there's more sort of direct connection with the factory or whatever, guys that are specializing in certain things would be kind of neat.
Yep. And then the talks, like the mule deer, and they had another guy talking about finding and hunting turkeys and calling turkeys. All that kind of stuff was really helpful, I think. Like, if they can kind of bring more stuff in like that, like maybe elk hunting and even guys talking about fishing, just general fishing strategies for, like, whether you're in a lake spinning or trolling, versus even guys talking about fly fishing. Like, you can get so many, I'm sure there's just an endless amount of presenters that are willing to talk about that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Just spreading that knowledge is huge. And that's really what I think was drawing me to going. It wasn't necessarily it's fun to go check out some gear and all that kind of stuff and see these booths, but there's only so much time you're going to spend at each one. And then for me, it was really trying to gain some knowledge from guys that were there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to, like, I was hoping maybe connect with somebody as far as having a guest come in here, but it was pretty busy in there. I don't know, not necessarily a networking event, but obviously some of these guys, we can look them up too that were speaking and maybe pull them in here. It might be kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to add to it. It was pretty cool. We only did the one day and it was only $10. Like, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, no, I think overall it was a success, and look forward to that event growing over the next few years. I mean, I'll go again next year, and yeah, for sure.
Cool. So I mentioned it being really nice on Saturday, and we were getting antsy towards the end of it, and we decided to, you called Bree and told her to thaw out the rest of our whitetail meat, because we had about 12, 14 pounds of sort of leftover trimmings and shit like that.
Yeah, I think we had 12 pounds.
Nice. So we decided to thaw that out and make sausages, because one of the cool gifts I got for my birthday was a KitchenAid attachment that was recommended to me at this sausage making class that I went to. Believe it or not, such a thing exists. And so, I got that with a stuffer attachment on there and stuff like that. So we, thought it all out, went and grabbed it from your house and set up at my place. And man, it just gets me so much more excited to be hunting again, because it's like the thing we keep coming back to is the connection to your food. And I don't know about you, but I was having a blast doing that. And
that was it was a lot of work, but it was a really fun day for sure.
I think we could have been a bit more efficient had we said we were going to do it that day, but it was like, you feel like making sausages? Neither of us had anything to do.
Well, I think we took the sausage out at 12:30.
Yeah.
Picked it up at 1.
We were making, I looked back I was curious how long it took us. So I looked at some of the photos when we were chopping up the meat into cubes and stuff like that. And I think it was about 3:30 that we started going. And I don't know what time we finished, but
I think it was 7 something.
So we cut it all up, and then we went and we had to get some fresh herbs and some spices and stuff like that. So if you take some of that out of the amount of time, it's not too bad. But and the KitchenAid attachment is great, except it's slower. It's not meant for a huge run of meat, but it did a really good job. We made some Italian sausages. We used Stephen Ranella's recipe, more or less anyways, use it as a bit of a guide. The only thing I was a little bit disappointed at was the casings that we got, and they just seemed tough. So we cooked them a certain way at my place, but you threw them on the grill at your house and you found the same thing with them, eh?
Yeah, I don't know. They don't get that crispy outside, when you cut through it, and the casing doesn't leave the sausage with your knife as you kind of cut through it. So I don't know what that I don't know. I guess it's as we get more experience, it could be the casing itself. I can't imagine it being anything else. We had a good fat ratio in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I threw some on the barbecue and they were pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, just that was some minor detail, but they were.
It is a minor detail because they're fucking fantastic.
Oh, they were awesome.
Yeah.
I brought some to. I ate, I guess, some pasta with. I cut up the sausage and threw it in there too, and brought some to work today. And I was kind of like handing it out to people.
Nice.
It makes you feel good. Like, hey, I got the animal. I cut it all up, butchered it, skinned it,
Yeah.
turned it into sausage. I know exactly what's in this.
Yeah.
Like, try this. And everybody loved it.
We're you can't see us, but we're both smiling just talking about this. So
Yeah.
like that's the connection. I don't think that people understand. Is like there's so much pride in it. I don't know, man. It's really hard to explain. You could go and buy sausages and throw them on the barbecue and not even think twice about it.
Yeah.
But when you do all the work, it's I don't know, something about it. It's really
Especially when you trim all the pieces of the meat yourself. Like,
yeah.
everybody probably has their own standard as to what makes the cut and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And you try, obviously, you want to minimize waste wherever possible, but
Yeah.
there is just some stuff that you got to cut out, and some of it's silver skin, some of it's tendons, and
Mhm.
some of it's kind of shot up meat. And
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's just nice to eat those sausages knowing that whatever's in there made the cut for you,
Yeah.
and you know exactly what's in there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I don't know, man. It makes for a pretty good afternoon. We drank some beer and had some cider, had some nachos, and
Yeah.
it was pretty laid back. And once we had mixed all the meat together, we fried a bit of it up. We made these little tiny patties and tried those, and found we needed a little bit of I can't remember what we put in there, a little extra spice. It was some pepper flakes we ended up throwing in there, but it's pretty straightforward, really.
Mm-hmm.
And as we got towards the end of it, we were getting pretty efficient with figuring out the best way to put the meat through the stuffer and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So
I think the KitchenAid attachment worked well, but I was wondering if we would want to do that same method with more meat. Like, what do you think, as far as what the equipment could handle? Do you think you'd do more sausage? Because we ended up with 30 to 35 sausages, I think.
No, I don't think I'd push the KitchenAid much further than that.
Yeah.
I think we probably were at its capacity. I'm sure you could push it harder than that, but at the risk of maybe burning out the motor on that thing.
Yeah,
But
there's a couple moments where it started
Yeah.
making different sounds, but I kind of thought we were running it a little slow, and once you kicked it up a gear,
Yeah.
the resistance kind of.
You know what I think it was is probably some of the fat started to create some resistance in there. And so we took it apart and cleaned it and all that. So I think that helped too. Don't tell Ashley it was starting to.
Yeah, if you hear anything from
Oh, it was
Ash,
fine. It ran like a champ. We could have made
Yeah.
80 pounds of sausage.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it was the flour that did it.
Yeah. She's got to quit making so many cookies. You're going to burn out the motor on that thing. But that being said, like, yeah, that's probably the maximum you would do with that thing. But I wouldn't really want to do any more. I would rather sort of like make that amount, and even just like, to make a fresh batch of sausages for, say you had people coming over that night,
Mhm.
make the sausages that day.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's
Just
like
a small
boutique sausage.
Fuck yeah. You'd be like, I just whipped these up this morning.
Yeah,
I think,
just in time inventory.
yeah.
You should. Well, I guess we can't make money off this.
What's
This
that?
is wild game. You can't sell wild game, but that'd
No.
be a like.
Oh, you can make any kind of sausages.
Yeah, no, that'd be sweet though. Set up a little website, just in time fresh sausage.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Might be onto something there, Cal.
Well, yeah, it's just that,
Sausage Direct.
you'd have to buy your can use your hunted game. But
So that was the last bit of our whitetail, and that's all we had from our past season was a whitetail doe, which we got a lot of meat off that. I was impressed, but it only goes so far. So now that we're in bear season, especially after making the sausage, I'm like, okay, now I really, really want to get a bear and try smoking some. Like, I'm sure we could make sausages like that and then smoke them, and there's so many different things we could do. But on the other hand too, I was thinking like, if we don't get a bear, it would still be fun to make some sausages even with if we went and bought some bison meat or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be wild. It's still just fun to be making that shit yourself,
For
creating
sure.
your own recipes. We can start writing stuff down, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it again. I hope we get a little more animal this year because, like you say, we were gonna split half of it into like a hamburger mix, right, or
Mhm.
ground meat kind of thing with a different fat ratio, and then we thought, well, we only got 10 or 12 pounds, so we're just gonna make it all the same way.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna cut some of those sausages open and use it as ground meat.
I did that actually. So there was 2 sausages left over that we had cooked that night, and even though they were cooked, because of those casings, I wasn't that stoked on especially because what the fuck's it called? We boiled the sausages and then fried them up, and I think I overcooked them a little bit anyways. But as soon as you cut into them, it's like the casing just like split. So I opened them up and then just pushed it into a patty and had a burger with that meat.
Mm-hmm.
God damn, it was fucking delicious.
That's what I did when we had
So good.
the first ones there.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think because we boiled those, I think that's why the casing was that bad.
Yeah,
But when I barbecued them, it was pretty good. Like it wasn't anywhere near that.
yeah.
It just wasn't, you know.
We'll just
like-
get them from a different place next time. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll try out a couple different ones.
Yeah. But all in all, they liked the way we wrapped the sausages. They looked really good. They looked semi-pro. They weren't
They're a little
totally
inconsistent.
There's always one
Yeah,
extra long one at the end.
yeah. You know, there's I don't know what kind of diameter, like an inch or a little over an inch
Yeah.
is pretty good. But there's a couple I wasn't letting it kind of feed through
Right.
fast enough, and I think at one point one batch of sausage is about like 1.5 inches diameter. So yeah, they got pretty fat there.
Yeah. Oh, they're good though.
I'm sure they'll cook fine.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
gotta leave them on there a little longer.
Yeah, for sure. And then with deer sausage, I don't know. It's probably because we made them, but for some reason, I'm like, fuck, these are the best deer sausages I've ever had. It's probably because we made them, but I don't know, man.
I
Something
thought
about
that
them
too.
was really. I've had a lot that have been made. I haven't had any sausages that were actually made by the person that shot the animal.
Mm-hmm.
They're often just sent to a butcher and done there. And I think the problem is that guys often oversalt the meat, and then you have a couple sausages and you have to drink a fucking gallon of water because there's so much salt in there.
Mm-hmm.
And also found them to be quite dry too, and it's easy to overcook them. But I think the fat ratio that we had, which was 20%, right?
Yeah.
Was good. It might be, we could probably do a little bit less than that, but they just tasted really fresh and they weren't dry. Even though I overcooked those ones a little bit, they were still
Didn't
so
taste
good.
gamey whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like
No, not
it
at all.
kind of tasted more like almost like a beef sausage
Yeah.
to me. Like I don't know. I get moose sausage, and I've got quite a bit of deer sausage from my father-in-law. The moose sausage, you can definitely tell that it's moose sausage.
Right.
But again, I don't know if that's just I like it. It's just I don't know if it's a seasoning thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't really know what to expect when we cooked ours up, and when I tasted that, I was like, wow. This is nobody be able to know this was a deer sausage. I guarantee it.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
You always want to trick people into trying them and just not saying, unless they ask you, tell them, but tell
Yeah.
them after. Some people might not appreciate that, but sometimes it bugs me that people, you tell them it's venison and they're like, ugh, I don't want to try that. It's like, you're missing out, man.
Yeah.
And I understand why, some people try it once and they have a bad experience with it. That's totally normal. But it can be made so many different ways, and it's the way you cook it as well. It's easy to overcook them.
Yeah.
I think that's the key, really, is not to overcook deer meat. That's what I've learned with our whitetail.
Mm-hmm.
Go easy on it.
Even
Yeah.
a small whitetail doe like that, I don't know how many meals we had, like probably 4 stews, and
Yeah.
like between the two of us, I don't know, 4 or 5 nights each of
Yeah, easy.
steaks or whatever we were
Mhm.
cooking, and then we got 35 sausages, and there's definitely quite a bit of meat that comes off an animal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's pretty surprising. I don't know how much longer people want to listen to us talk about sausage, but if you're a hunter, especially a new hunter, don't be intimidated by it. And that attachment, if you have a KitchenAid, was just over $100. Fucking great deal. So how much did we spend on? So we bought some wine. We bought the cheapest bottle of wine we could find. That was $8.
Yeah, two of us go in looking for a bottle of wine. Hey, what's the cheapest bottle of red you got?
Yeah. So there was that. There was we bought some fresh herbs and stuff, and what are those seeds called?
Fennel seeds.
Fennel seeds.
Pork fat.
Pork fat.
It was like $6 for 2 pounds.
Yeah,
and that's probably expensive pork fat because we got it at more of a specialty.
Yeah, exactly.
Store.
So it's good pork fat. I'm sure that contributed to the sausages being really good. And then the casings were only, I don't know, they weren't very much.
No, it was like $3 or $4 or something.
So I wasn't adding all that up, but it was like under $30 to make 30 sausages.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And there's even some wine left over, but we didn't drink it. I don't know if we want to. It's an $8 bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And end of the nighter type of bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, check it out. And Ronell's got a great recipe in his book, but you can look up sausage recipes anywhere and just use them as a guideline and taste it while you're going. And yeah.
Do you think it's a 2-person job?
Yeah, I think so. Especially when it comes to stuffing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was nice though, because you'd be doing chopping something up, and I'd be doing like getting the thing ready to go, and or whatever. We sort of both had jobs going the whole time, which makes it more efficient. I'm sure you could do it on your own, but you might not want to. It might become a bit tiresome. And
yeah, you might want to split it in a couple days, like prep day 1 and then stuff day 2.
Yeah. And like I said, it was fun just for you and I to be hanging out for 4 hours or whatever it was, just doing it. It's a good excuse to
put some tunes on and drink some beer.
Totally.
Especially when it's 25 degrees out in April.
Yeah. So I'm going to toot my own horn here, but I pushed myself to do something that I've never done before, and I ran that 10K race on Sunday and ended up coming in 6th place in my age division, which was pretty good.
Good job.
But so, yeah, I didn't really train for it. My only goal was to like run continuously throughout the whole thing, and I did. Mm-hmm. I can hardly fucking walk today, but so I was happy with that. But like the reason for doing that is it's all related to hunting, really, right? So it's like
it's all related to leaving Kelly behind.
Yeah, but you've been out doing stuff as well, so it's like, pushing myself to sign up for the shit I don't necessarily want to do. I probably want to do more of those now that I've done one, but sort of having some fitness goals, because we've got big plans as far as like the animals that we want to tackle this year are big animals. So yeah, I was kind of stoked to do that, and that was just like a nice cap to the weekend. It was like 3 days of like all different experiences, and being 31, it's kind of cool that you can have a weekend like that just full of all these things you've never done before. So it sort of just inspired me to like just continue on what we're doing, and hunting is part of that. Like there's so many new experiences coming our way. That's what I love the most about this, and it's never really coming down to killing an animal. It's just trying different things and getting out there, man. Mm-hmm. So springtime here, we're it feels like we're 2 weeks ahead, and I think we are, by the sounds of how some of these obviously guys with orchards are keeping records, and they're saying we're way ahead.
Yeah, so I went to the fly fishing store as well, and they had guys up on the kind of higher elevation lakes already.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's definitely early. And I'm heading back to the Kootenays at the end of the month. I was hoping to bring my fly rod and fish the Columbia, but I think once the river, the runoff starts hitting big time, it's almost unfishable for the fly guys anyway.
Right.
I don't know if that's true or not, but
I don't know.
I might as well bring them anyways.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and while you're back, my dad had a quad that he used for hunting. If you listen to the past episodes, you'll know that my dad's not around anymore, but so my mom has it, and she's offered to let us use it for bear hunting. So we're not using it as a way to do road hunting. It's going to be an opportunity to get even further out, especially if we're encountering snow. I'm not afraid to take that thing in the snow.
It's got a
And
winch on it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And one of the worries I keep coming across is temperature. And if it's really warm, we kind of need these tools to get the meat out as fast as we can. So I think that's going to be a pretty big advantage, and being able to get out even further than we would with your truck. So that's pretty exciting to have that as a tool. So
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that.
you'll be picking that up first while you're back in the Kootenays, and we'll have it for a couple months, and hopefully it is part of a victory for bear hunt.
Yeah, I mean, it's we talked about it a couple episodes ago, increasing your percentages.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the things that will help us do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of forest roads around here, but you never know what to expect, right? And you never know if you're going to be able to turn around or if you're going to have to reverse back like 6 kilometers.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking forward to having the opportunity to drive in a certain distance and then take a vehicle that's actually equipped to be handling that kind of stuff. Hopefully that will take us further away than a lot of the other folks.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a lot of people that have ATVs, obviously, but if we can hike from those further distances and get to new cuts or new south side faces and all that kind of stuff, like I think we're gonna have some good success there.
Yeah, I think so too. And it being we sort of talked about waiting until even mid-May before we got out there, but I think by the time you get back here with that quad, which will be the beginning of May, we'll be ready to go. I think there's going to be enough vegetation up there that these guys are going to be already eating pretty healthy. So that's pretty exciting. It'll be interesting to see how this whole thing evolves, and hopefully people aren't getting tired of us talking about it, because it hasn't happened yet, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the end. So stay tuned for that. Great weekend behind us. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we call this an episode? We have a full-on gear episode coming up, so let's just let people know that if there's anything they want to send us, we'll gladly take it. But seriously, if anyone has any gear tips for that episode, if there's something that you've come across and you're like, everybody needs to have this item, whatever it might be,
right,
let us know. We're not going to review that necessarily, but we'll definitely share any gear tips that anyone has. And we're going to sort of bring in our hunting bags and dump them out here and sort of go over what we're carrying in our packs, because we're quickly, gathering more and more gear as time goes on here. So, but yeah, that being said, how do you want to end off this episode?
Well, we talked a little bit about fishing, right, in this sportsman show that we were at. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on this
Sure.
TED Talk that I listened to a couple days ago. And it was, I forget his name. Maybe we can write it in the podcast notes, but he was talking about aquaculture and fish farming basically being the future of the world's protein needs. So, I don't know, if you think back to like hundreds of years ago compared to now, humans have grown like 10 centimeters, and like we're eating more protein. The more money that every country or society makes is typically correlated with more protein consumption, and more protein consumption is correlated with more cattle, and they need more feed. And they were saying like by 2050 or 2100, we won't have the capability to sustain the amount of protein that the world needs. So, I mean, if you think about it, each pound that comes off cattle is pretty inefficient, because you got to give it water, you got to give it land, you got to give it all this feed, like tons of feed per pound of cow, right? So he was saying aquaculture is the future. Ocean populations are declining as well, because we're fishing out all the tuna and everything else. So a fish is pretty efficient. They're floating. They don't need water to drink.
Right.
And they need about a pound of feed per pound of fish,
Hmm.
I think is what he said. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that fish farming issue?
You know what? Like, I haven't done a lot of research on it, but like some things that I've sort of noticed when reading about it is often you read articles that say that it's causing problems to the native fish populations. So
Yeah.
diseases can be spread and all that kind of stuff. So, um, so that I think is something that obviously needs to be figured out first. But humans seem to have do a good job of fucking things up, and I think we get
Yeah.
too involved in like, trying to change the way a fish eats or how it develops, or like we always seems to need to put our hands into these things somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's a way to like do that type of fish farming in more of a natural way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm kind of talking out my ass here because I don't really know much about it. But I know when I go to a fish market, or even if you're in Costco, if you put fresh salmon and farmed salmon in front of me, I know exactly which one is which. The
Yeah,
color
exactly.
difference is, it's almost like farmed fish. To me, looks fucking gross. It's just pale, and
Yeah.
when you see a nice salmon, the orangey red color is sort of what attracts you to it. And then when you look at the farm stuff, you're like, ugh,
It's pale. Yeah.
thing have fucking cancer or something. Like, what's wrong with that
Mm-hmm.
thing? So, I would never buy it, and I've had it, and didn't really enjoy the taste of it or anything like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so my interactions with it are sort of negative. But
He did mention that, like, historically, there has been like the risk of spreading disease and all that kind of stuff. But he seemed to indicate that we have the technology now to do it right. But then you kind of get back into the whole thing about capitalism, and people are going to try to make money where they can make money, right?
That's the tough part.
Because it's going to be a business. So people are going to try to reach that efficiency barrier, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, that's the part that bugs me is if there's a way around that, then that seems like a clear option the way you've sort of presented it, as far as
Mm-hmm.
feeding this massive population that we have here in an effective way. But obviously they have some kinks to work out. But maybe the pros weigh out the cons if you're reducing the amount of cattle farming and still doing some harm by fish farming.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's better than what we're doing now. I don't know.
Yeah. And eventually supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if that becomes the case, it might continue to become expensive to buy some steak, and then only certain peoples are going to get it. And
Yeah.
we might just have to change the way we're talking 100 years away, but
Mm-hmm. The thing is, I think we're consuming more meat than we need to, right?
Mm-hmm.
As somebody who loves meat, I don't eat it every day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's something you should eat every day. So I think that a lot of us are a bunch of fat pigs that are just, food is so easy for us to get. You know what I mean? We could walk 2 minutes behind this recording studio and buy whatever we want. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very easy to get access to these things, and maybe it just needs to shift that way. And if something is more expensive, well, then maybe people won't consume as much of it. And
yeah, you would think to raise or farm fish in an environment that kind of provided the same grade of fish as a fish you would get off Vancouver Island, like the facilities you would need would be just so expensive, and you'd be probably competing with the cost of cow anyway.
Yeah, who knows?
Like,
man.
I don't know what the details are. I thought it was just an interesting TED talk. We'll put the link in.
Cool, I'll watch it because I haven't seen it. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I haven't bought beef in a long ass time. I can't even remember. I'll buy the odd steak here and there from
Mm-hmm.
local butcher shop, and I feel okay doing that because I know where the farm is and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's just like, one steak, or I'll buy a bit of ground beef. They have really good ground beef there and do burgers, but I don't buy it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that with hunting, that you and I get to a point where we've got enough meat where we don't have to buy it anymore. That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
I was actually listening to another podcast, and a guy had found out that he had a beef allergy. So he couldn't actually eat anything. Like he couldn't go to the restaurant and order a big steak, and he kind of went to the doctor and said, this sounds a little bit ridiculous. Like, I'm X years old and it's only now becoming a problem and all this kind of stuff. So he went back and ordered this big steak and scarfed it down. And before he could even finish it, he was like puking all over the place.
Wow.
So he lives in California, and his solution was, most people in California don't hunt, I don't think.
Right.
It's kind of taboo there. So his solution was, and this is after, I guess, meeting some people that were talking about antelope in Wyoming or something like that. But he ended up going out there because the tags were cheap. He'd never hunted before. Drove his like Corolla out there, and he went out hunting in these fields just for does, whatever the cheapest one was. It was only for meat. And he went out. Now he gets them like every year. He brings back like 300 pounds of these does.
Wow.
And that's the only stuff he can eat now. And he just goes for that because it's cheap and,
right.
It's more of it's like going to the grocery store really.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I just thought it was an interesting story. And I don't know if that's going to become more common. Like, you don't know what's in that beef anymore.
No.
So I don't know. That's pretty interesting. He was talking about all the folks in California that show up at his house, and he serves this wild game, and it's a new experience for everybody there. But yeah. I mean, I'd love to be fully sustainable off our own game meat for sure.
We've said this before, and it's like if everybody hunted, well, it wouldn't work. So it's, it's a good thing that everybody isn't interested in hunting. But so we have to come up with some sort of solutions for everyone. But
that actually came up at the Sportsman Show as well, as they had a representative from the BC Wildlife Federation.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how interest in hunting, specifically youths and women, are increasing.
Right.
And the amount of resident hunters are increasing. And the amount of population in the animals, I believe, like, the issue is obviously if the population's going down and the residents are going up, the hunters, then there's a serious problem there.
Yeah.
So that's really what they're working towards. And like that other guy said, it's not necessarily that. Sure, we might lose some hunting opportunities to LEH or draw systems or something like that. But if we can get the populations back to what they should be, or what they can be, while sustaining and increasing resident hunter population, then it's kind of good all around.
Yeah.
And maybe they can drop those regulations later on,
right.
whatever it takes. But yeah, it's not good if hunting just becomes more and more and more popular, and all of a sudden the animals are gone.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a fascinating topic. Like,
it's crazy to think about. Like, it's just a massive, complex system.
Yeah,
like the ecosystem
and
all the
works together. Yeah,
yeah. Like, you can't really attack one problem and think it's going to solve the whole thing. You got to take a holistic approach and try to get everybody on the same boat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answers.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
I think it's good that hunting is becoming more popular, and we're evidence of that.
For sure. We're new,
just folks kind of appreciating wildlife and just appreciating the food and everything that they put in their bodies. But at the same time, we got to make sure we're all paying attention to what's required out there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's a good note to end on. I don't have anything else to add to it.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, man. It was a fun week, and I'm super excited to get out there again. And I always like to end the podcast just by, thanking people for tuning in. Our downloads are increasing quite a bit each week, so that's good to see. We'll keep doing it as long as we see an increase in downloads and that. So if you guys don't mind, this really doesn't take long, but if you're enjoying this, please subscribe to it. So by doing that each week, you'll just automatically get the podcast as soon as it's released. It'll end up in your iTunes or wherever you're getting the podcast from. And the other thing you can do too is just leave a rating or a review. That's also quick and easy to do. And it just kind of helps, increase our visibility in iTunes. It's easy to get lost in there. And right now we're actually popping up in a few different places as being new and noteworthy. And we've been kind of up and down the charts for top podcast and outdoors and stuff like that. So that's all thanks to you guys. We have no control over how all that plays out. So if you don't mind doing those things, please do. We really do appreciate it. And if you want to contact us with show ideas, suggestions, or corrections, anything like that, our email address is theRookieHunterPodcast@gmail.com. And if you're in the area, we're in Kelowna in the Okanagan area of British Columbia, and you want to come and chat with us on the show, if you're an expert in something or you're a passionate rookie hunter, get in touch with us as well. We want to start getting more people in here. And Kel's looking at our beer bottle. If you want to suggest beer for us to try, please do. We're always open to that. So anyways, that's enough from me. Thanks a lot. Happy hunting.
Cheers.
Cheers.